Hello everyone, I'm Jesus and welcome to the next episode of The Road to Old School MTG. In this video, I will be live bidding on my potentially third Savannah dual land, and that's towards the creation of my Armageddon deck to participate in Old School Magic playing. So in the last video, I also live recorded another auction for another Savannah, but I did not win that one. So I'll be doing it again. I have two Savannahs that I've already purchased. This will be my third. Hopefully I do get it today. That will leave just one more because I do want to have a full playset for my deck and just in general as a collectible. In addition, I will be opening up these four packages. So these are the latest packages. I just received them all for today. They are now all the cards that I'm getting basically are the most expensive out of the deck list that I had created. Because I've been holding off from those because, of course, of the cost. Also because it's harder to find, once again, because of the cost, right? So, but the deck is very nearing completion. This is what I have so far. Right, so this is basically, I think, 50 cards, right? So I'm like 10 cards short. I'll be adding 4 more today. So I'll be opening up those 4. I'm also going to go over the deck list that I have. So just to see the plan, to see what's left, and what's the goal towards being able to complete what's left, so that the deck can be completed, and then I can go to the next step, which is using it, playing with it. Off of that, that will give me ideas for what sideboard I should use. Right now, I'm just focusing on the 60 card deck, and the cyber will come after I start using it. So first of all, let's take a look at the auction that I want to bid on today. So it ends in 6 minutes. So Savannah revised. So it says never played, right? So that would be either mint, near mint condition. Looking at the card, I think it very much shows that quality. So I've been debating how much should be my minimum bid. So yeah, the card looks in beautiful condition, front and back. I do believe this is never played condition. So packed fresh, right? So it is mint or near mint. On the other 2 Savannahs, I already purchased 2. One of these packages should have my first Savannah. The other one is still in transit, but I bought 2. One of them I bought for $285 cost, the other one for $287 cost, right? But after shipping, taxes, additional fees, they each came up to over $300. In the last video, I bid $285 for that one, but I lost the auction. This one, honestly, is even better. Honestly, it doesn't get much better than this condition, right? At least from the pictures, right? It looks great. I don't really see any dirt, right? So that's how you can usually tell if it was used, right? If the edges have dirt, even if the top is great, right? You can still tell it was used. This one just doesn't have those things. So it seems to be packed fresh, right? Somebody opened up a revised pack and they got this. Let me take a refresh. So good, it's staying low, 218. And only 3 bids, right? So, but I expect this to jump up. So I was debating if I should do 285 only. But if the other one was worth 285 to me, and it was in worse condition, it was still in great condition, right? But it did have a little bit of dirt on the sides and a little speck up top on the front, on the text of the card. So I was thinking maybe 300, maybe even pushing more, 320. Probably 320 is what I'm going to go for, because this is just a pristine card. Hopefully the bids don't keep growing from here, and I can win it with a 320 maximum bid. So just to explain the bidding process on eBay, here I'm going to type in what's the highest that I'm willing to pay for this car, right? So which I'll put 320. When I click place bid, it does not automatically make me place the bid, right? So I have to then click on something else, which I think is like, are you sure, right? So just something. There's one or two more steps I have to click on before my bid officially enters the queue, and then right we see the results. So I have to consider that because I like to bid within the final seconds of the auction ending, right? So right, that's called sniping, right? And it depends on if I'm free to around the time where the video, where the card is being coming to an end, right? The auction. Actually, there was another Savannah that I missed out on because I forgot to put a bid on because I was in the middle of work, right? So I missed out on another opportunity, unfortunately. Um, but the good thing is I am seeing more Savannahs popping out on eBay here and there in very nice condition, right? And around these prices. So I am hopeful I can either win this one, or if I don't, I'm hopeful that there's more to come. Right? I do have at least one or two more saved in my watch list, right? So there's more opportunities, and every day I check eBay to see what else comes up. I much prefer to do the buy it now, right? One Savannah one is an auction, 285. The other one was a buy it now, 287. So right, so almost the same price. But I'm seeing the better condition ones usually go as auctions. So that's why I'm doing this auction. So once it hits 10 seconds, first of all, I'm already going to have the 285 typed in here, all ready for me to click on place bid, right? So once it hits 10 seconds left, I will click place bid. Then I'll click on the one or two extra things I need to click on. And then by that point, it's just only a couple seconds left, and I'll soon after know the results. If I won it, and if I did win it, by how much, or if I lost. Right, so right now it's just waiting for that to occur. I do like to refresh every now and then because who knows, maybe the card goes beyond my limit before it even reaches the end, right? So then by that point I'm already out, right? So I do that also for that reason. And last reason I do that refresh continuously, especially towards the end, is that I just want to make sure my timing is accurate. So the time of how much minutes, hours is left, I've noticed that is correct. But what I've noticed is not correct is when it ends. So that threw me off. So well, I'll explain more about that a little bit later because I do see the time is running out. So I said 320, 00. That is my highest bid, right? I will not necessarily spend that much. Hopefully I won't. But that is how much I'm willing to spend, a little bit, quite a bit more for this particular version of Savannah. Right, so once 10 seconds hits, I will start the process and I will soon know the result. Woo! I won it at $295. Wow. So for $10 more from my previous two Savannahs, which I won at basically $285 each, I won this one in near mint condition. The other ones were great too, right? In fact, I'm going to open one of them, right? So we'll confirm the quality soon enough of what I've already purchased, at least for one of them. But this one, based off the look of the photos, seems to be the best out of the three. And it was just $10 more. So I'm very, very happy with this result. So that's 3 down, 1 more to go to finish my playset, right? But after fees, the fees, shipping is already $420, and then I'm sure tax and everything. So all my Savannahs costed me over $300 each, but they're all in very good condition. I only been buying good condition ones, and it's very well for me, right? In my case, it's very well worth the price. Plus, this is still cheap because the revised Savannahs is the cheapest I can get the cards at. The dual lens. So they made it in alpha, beta, unlimited, and revised. An unlimited Savannah will be over 1,000, way over 1,000, probably like 1,500, maybe 2, 3, depending on condition. And then forget about alpha, beta, right? So although for some people 300 might be a lot, it's all relative, right? The same card in a different version, alpha, beta, or unlimited, many times more over the 295 that I just won for this one. Okay, so honestly, I'm pretty happy. I'm glad this is 3 out of 4. So one more to go, right? And I've never owned dual lens, right? So when I was playing Magic, I didn't have a kid, so I didn't have much money. And then once I got into it more, right, and I had more disposable income, I was more into it, into the standard, right, which is the current sets. Although I always had nostalgia for the older sets where I started from, but the newer sets seem more interesting because they seem more dynamic. Things change, but as I explained in my very first video, right, that's become old. I think the game is drastically different than what it was intended to be. It seems more of a cash grab as opposed to trying to build a legitimate and legit, just a good product as opposed to a flashy product, a product that does many things, but it losing its roots as it does keep on doing so many more things than it had originally done in the beginning. So that threw me off. That's why I'm going into old school now. So that's why the dual lens are particularly nostalgic for me. I never owned it, but I had always wanted it. So it's pretty cool to finally get it. Now, so I'll complete the order, right? Because I gotta click on what I'm gonna use for payment and such, but I can do that later. I want the auction. So now let's open these. So 2 of these cards should be 2 4th edition land taxes. This one should be an unlimited Icy Manipulator. This one should be a revised dual land Savannah, right? Honestly, the most expensive one is the one with the least packaging. So I'm not too happy about that, honestly. But as long as I get my card in good condition, in the condition that the listing set, then I'm happy. In fact, as I open these cards, I'm going to refer to the cards that I did, the listings that from eBay that I did win, because all this is from eBay. And just I will be getting these same 4 cards again, because I actually bought 4 land taxes and 2 Icy Manipulators and 2 Savannahs, right? Not counting the one I just won today, right? Today's 3. But these same 4 cards are already in transit, so I should be getting 2 more land tax, 1 more Icy Manipulator, 1 more Savannah, right? And of course, now that I won this one, a 3rd Savannah should be coming my way soon. Actually, before that, why don't we then take a look at the deck list just to see where we're at before I open these cards up. So this was my first original deck list based off of a different deck list that was more powered because it had more expensive cards. So the original deck list that this was inspired by, all this is the same except they had 4 Savannahs, 2 Moxes, Pearl and Emerald, that's the white and green, and it had a Chaos. So between those 7 cards, that was an additional $8,000 at least, right? And I had originally had the goal of keeping the deck below 1,000, right? So to keep it somewhat budget, right? Although below 1,000, I don't think qualifies as budget, even though it's old school, but definitely cheaper than many alternatives, right? So I was still definitely considering cost greatly. But I since changed my mind, and I already purchased now 3 Savannah, so I'm gonna get that 4th one. So I'll be making those changes on these basic lines. I think the original deck list only had 3 series of brass, right? So I might take that 4th one out. Depends, right? I might keep it, but I'm gonna play around with these, with the basic lands, just the lands in general, as the Savannahs come in, right? But other than that, everything else is staying here. So in this last sets of rounds that I'm doing, round 4, I've been taking it incrementally because the cards are getting more expensive, and I gotta wait for better condition cards, right? Because most of the time, what's being offered online is not good, at least for me. So the first card I purchased was that Unlimited Icy Manipulator in very good condition. That's the one that should be here uh, in this package over here. So so that was around 4.1, right? And then as the blue gets darker, additional subsets of rounds. So for round 4.2, I I believe I did the 2 Sylvan libraries, right? I already received both of those. Round 4.3, I bought one more Icy Manipulator. This one, it was a cheaper version because there was just no really crisp versions like the first one at similar prices, right? The prices were too much. But I felt this one was still in a nice enough condition at a cheaper price that it was still worth it to me. Round 4.4 to land taxes, and then round 4.5 in the last video, I believe, the last 2 land taxes, right? So I should right now in this package should be these 2 from round 4.4, this Icy Manipulator for round 4.1, and in the Savannah, right? The Savannahs are not here because, like I said, I had originally not included them. But as I get them, I'll include it here. But that doesn't affect the rest of the deck, right? Because I'm just going to replace lands for lands. So if you notice, everything else is crossed out except 2 Icy. So I still need 2 more Icy Manipulators to go. And Icy Manipulators, I can only get them, the latest that I can get them is in Unlimited, right? That's why this Icy Manipulator here is also Unlimited. To keep within the rules of old school 93, 94. Icy Manipulator was not reprinted in revised, so it's only available Alpha Beta Unlimited. It was reprinted in Ice Age, but the art changed, right? Very different art. So that no longer qualifies as I understand it as legit for legit use in 93, 94 old school format. So there is, I think it's called Alice formats, right, which allows alliances and Ice Age, right? So AL, alliances, and Ice Age. So basically 1993, 94, and 95, right? Basically. If I was to play those formats, then I could have used the Ice Age Icy Manipulator and saved myself quite a bit of money. Hundreds of dollars, actually, because you can get them for like a couple dollars as opposed to over 100 each in Unlimited, right? So, but honestly, I don't mind paying for the Unlimited. It's more iconic, right? And like I said, that's big for me, that nostalgia, and a lot of times getting what I had missed out on. I've never owned, the only Icy Manipulators I've owned were those Ice Age ones, right? So it's cool to have Unlimited ones also. All right, so very close to finishing this off. I got 2 more Icies. Like I said, the Savannahs are not included here, but they will be added. I still have 1 more Savannah to purchase after today's. So let us get to the opening. But I won't make any other purchases today because honestly, I'm pretty psyched about this. Plenty enough of between the Savannah, the third one that I just won, and these 4. Right? Particularly these 2 are the most expensive cards that I've owned. That I pay for. I haven't opened up very expensive cards from packs, which I sold off, right? But me purchasing for my own enjoyment, very much, these are the most expensive. All right, so as I open these up, I will be comparing it to the listings of where I got these from off eBay. So I bought everything off eBay so far. I have been trying to get things from Facebook, right? There's a nice Facebook marketplace for old school, but it's just not nothing has come of it, right? So I've sent um, messages about it, and then either the card is not in the condition that I wanted, the price is not what I'm willing to pay for it, right? So, but I am making those, trying to make those deals happen, right? So the last two Icy Manipulators, or maybe that last Savannah, could very well be from Facebook. I have no qualms about or making a deal on Facebook. It's just there's nothing that I've seen, or if I did see it, by the time I inquired, it was too late and they were sold out already, right? It already happened to me. All right, so this one is a land tax, right? So I paid $33 for it. So I'm opening it this way so to avoid any personal information from the seller. So it came in inside bubble wrap, and then within that, more cardboard, which is good. As a receipt here, almost paid after the full cost. It came out to almost $40. So I like this extra layer of protection here, and then hopefully there's some kind of plastic protection on the card itself within this, right? So let's see. Okay, yep, it came in those thinner um, as compared to these top loaders, right? Which is what I like, right? Pretty strong, right? This is just almost the right? It's a little bit thicker than the quality of a binder sleeve, right? A sheet, but it got the job done, especially with all this extra protection, right? So let's take a look at it. It came in also inside it another penny sleeve, right? Fourth edition. I do see some light scratches, very light. Right? You only see it if you angle it. Yeah, actually I'm seeing a bit more, but that's to be expected. There is a little indent on the edge. I hadn't seen that in the original um, listing. But yeah, the car looks great. Sorry, there's no zoom, so it's kind of hard to tell. Uh, front looks nice. Back looks nice, right? So definitely light played condition. But from just the looks of it, looks very nice. And those little imperfections, scratches, things like that, is very hard to notice those. All right, so then let me open up this listing just to compare what I got to what was offered. So it said, ooh, this was listed as never played, near mint. This is not near mint. So I don't know if out of packs it could have scratches. I know it could have scuffs. It could be brand new straight from a pack, and it could have scuffs on it. And I have seen like roller damage, right? So that is possible. I mean, I haven't personally experienced it, but just from watching videos. But I don't know about scratches, right? I mean, if it wasn't for that, the card doesn't really look like doesn't have any dirt on the edges, right? On the edge of the card, on any of them. So, I mean, yeah, it could be that it's never played, and I just, I'm not informed enough about just how cards can come up straight from a pack, right? So, I'm willing to give the seller the benefit of the doubt because other than those little things, which is only visible through if you angle things, the card is pristine, right? And there's no dirt, right? That tells you usually if it was played or not, right? How clean it is, right? And usually, no matter how much you do clean, certain things just can't be taken out. So honestly, all in all, I'm definitely happy with the card. Happy with what I paid. Uh, it could definitely very well be never played, right? So um, I take whatever I said back, only because I'm not sure. It doesn't look to me that it is not in never play condition, but I don't think I'm informed enough to make that call, right? But the call that I do make is I'm happy with the card, looks great, right? So I think what I paid for uh, and what I got is worth it, right? And it could definitely be never played, right? So in the comments, any of you have any information about that? Have you opened up? Do you remember opening up fourth edition cards, right, or revise? Can cards come up with scratches, indents on them already, right? Like I said already, I seen skulls, roller damage, right? But then you can tell it's a machine that did it, right? This just randomly has a mark there, mark there, and an angle, kind of like feels like it could be from a nail, right? So we'll see. But that's just nitpicking, right? So I don't think I need to nitpick for a card that's only $32. So this is the card sleeves that I'm using. So I'm adding that to the deck so far. So very nice, happy with it. So this should be my second out of 4 land taxes. This one I paid a little more, $35, but it did come with free shipping. So actually it ended up being cheaper than the other one because of the free shipping. So it came in a nice cardboard protective casing, right? So I guess similar to this, right? The cheap way that the other one came in, right? So as long as it gets the job done, that's the most important thing. And this is definitely very nice protection. It's very stiff. It's kind of like this, right? But even stiffer because it's thick cardboard. And then within that, I got this, right, which is a nice touch. I think I've ordered from this particular seller before because I do recall either this same one or just a similar, right? This could be a generic thing that eBay sellers can buy and then put their own logos on. I don't mind showing the logo of this one because it does look nice. Okay, and then inside the card is the card. The tape is pretty tight here, so I don't know if I'm gonna play around with that. I'll just take it from the bottom. It wasn't taped inside, right? So partly that's so that the card itself doesn't get taped, right? But maybe things shake around, but it didn't. It came in fine. And then it came also within a penny sleeve. So inspecting this card now, I do feel this one is better condition than the other one. This one seems very clearly that this one is never played. And I did confirm, right, that I didn't confuse the two together, right? Because it's the same card. I could have confused that seller's listing for this card and vice versa, right? And it says the business on the outside of the envelope also. So that's how I confirmed. So the other one said never played. It didn't seem like to me never played. It seemed to me maybe near mint, maybe light played, at, at least light played. It could, right? Maybe it could be near mint with scratches, very light scratches. Would that qualify? I'm not educated enough to know. This one has no scratches on. This one is near mint or maybe mint. So I am happy with this one. This one was listed as near mint. This one I believe is very clearly accurate in its description. There it is. And like I said, this one actually ended up being a couple dollars cheaper because even though the card itself was more expensive, this one included the free shipping and the other one I had to pay like $4 for, right? So it was ended up being like $2 cheaper for this one in better condition. So I'm happy with this purchase. The card is pristine, looks amazing. So the other one was perfectly fine as well, right? So, but this one is very clearly near mint. Never played, although it doesn't say, it says mint, right? But mint is usually understood to be never played, right? Or else it wouldn't have statement. Um, so all in all, I'm happy with it. So that's 2 out of 4 land taxes, right? And all four of them I got in very nice, similar condition to this, right? Because I just, to me, it was worth it to just make that additional investment. Right? Land tax, very iconic card in old school, and just Magic in general. All right, so this should be my unlimited Icy Manipulator. When I got this one, that was the most expensive card in the deck that I had purchased before I ended up pulling the trigger on the Savannahs. Right now, the Savannahs are the most expensive, but the Manipulators are the second most expensive. They're at least 100 each. So this one I ended up paying 140 for, 140 for it, and then with shipping it almost came, and fees, whatever. I don't know shipping, but just the fees, like 148, right? So almost 150. So it came in this protective priority cardboard envelope. This one is stronger than this one, but it's plenty strong. And then within it, it did include a very strong. Now this actually is comparable to this. Maybe not as strong, but comparable, right? So within the two, and then I can already feel like it's cushioning inside, plus maybe a top loader. So within everything, I think it's very uh, well shipped. So I appreciate that, because this is a card that's over $100 after all, and not just that, very old. Yep. So it came this little cover that's cushioned. It has um, the bubble wrap within it. All right, and then I don't think I have any unlimited cards, right? So this is pretty cool for me. Oh, I forgot to show the other land tax up close, right? Well, probably looks like the other one, right? You can't really catch those imperfections unless you angle the card, right? So, but they were both good. This one, let's see. When the outside looks great. Definitely light play. You can see a tiny bit of markings on the sides, but probably in mint, I'm looking at close to 300 for it. I don't think I'd be willing to pay for that. For the Savannah, yeah. For the IC, maybe not so much. But so then it came with a top loader and then a penny sleeve. Looks nice. Definitely, yeah. I'm seeing some scratches that I didn't, and a little indent, little dot that I didn't see on the photos, which, right, I don't consider that as being deceptive or anything, right? It's just um, in the ways the camera catches the angles, right? So, but just on its face value, and just from looking at it, looks great. And also the back looks great. So honestly, the card is excellent condition. Those little imperfections, it's only noticeable if you're basically trying to look for it, right? Which you should, especially for something so old and expensive. Right, but that's just nitpicking. It's very nicely conditioned card. All right, so let me show the listing of it, and actually let me put in the penny sleeve. So I don't want to put it in the red sleeve for a reason. So I'll tell you guys why in a bit. So hovering, right? So just from here looks great, right? So you can already tell, right? So you see those little specks, right? So it's light play, but it's very small. And honestly, this magnifies it a lot more. Looking at the picture, you barely notice that. Or maybe the seller took the time to clean it a little bit before they shipped it, right? Could be. But the front and the back look awesome. So yeah, pretty happy. 135 with the 4 shipping, so one almost 140, and by the time everything was said and done, 148 and change. Right. So honestly, I'm happy with it. Um, the first IC that I own from the original, first original printings. in unlimited. So pretty excited about this. So now the reason why I'm not going to put it in the red card sleeves yet that I'm going for my deck is because I want to notice the differences between an unlimited card and a revised card. Right? So alpha, beta, they're very easily confused for one another. The main thing that you look for, from my understanding, is the edges of the cards. They have different rounded edges. I think it's similar for unlimited and revised, right? Because both unlimited and revised has the white border. There's no dates at the bottom, right? So actually, I think I heard like the how strong the pigment is on the card, right? So unlimited, it was more darker. Revised, a little bit, a little bit more maybe washed up, but also brighter. Fourth edition was the fourth edition versions of cards that were reprinted in fourth edition look better than the revised, right? So each version ended up looking better and better, right? So, but unless I have a revised and an unlimited icy, right, then I could make a one-to-one comparison. There are no revised icy manipulators, like I said, at least in this version. So, but I'll compare it to my revised dual Savannah dual end. I do have other revised cards, but since I'm opening this one, might as well show this one. Okay, so this is the cheapest out of all of them in terms of the shipping, even though it is by far the most expensive. This one is double the price of that one. So I don't know how to feel about that. The package does have bubble wrap within on the inside, right? So it's okay, and I do feel it better have a top loader, right? I think it'd be silly not to, right? So I'm sure it does have, but I think something more hefty was in order here. Okay, nothing else here. Yep. Right, so then they have, right, the business codes for the cards. They tape the top, so they come in a normal top loader, and then there's a penny sleeve there. So honestly, this is how when I used to sell cards on eBay, I used to do that too. I would buy booster boxes and then just open them up just for the fun of it, and then resell the cards, the expensive cards, just to get my money back so I could buy more boosters, right? So it was just a fun thing to do. But I did invest in penny sleeves, top loaders, so I can ship. So this is how I would ship it right here, and I would probably ship it in a regular envelope, right? But then again, I wasn't really selling $300 cards, so it's kind of cards that were like $2. This was shipped in a similar way, so I think the seller should have put more effort in there. But can't complain about the card itself. The card arrived perfectly fine. It has penny sleeve. Uh, so there's little scuffs. So I wouldn't say there's marks, indentations, right? It's more like uh, dirt, right? So just some kind of a fogginess that's from something being on top of the card. But you have to look for it, right? I do see actually now some couple more specks, black specks, but all in all, the condition of the card is great, excellent. The back also looks great. So I do remember this one had some little bit of weathering on the corners. I do see it now, so it is visible. But it's all in all, I'm very happy with it. So I know it's kind of tricky to get a clear image, but at least you can kind of get an idea of the condition. Very nice condition. So let's compare the listing. Give me a second. because as I mentioned, I now have 3 Savannahs. I want to make sure I open the correct one. I'm going to just double checking the name to what it says in the listing to make sure I'm comparing the correct thing. All right, here it is. Let's compare. All right, and then let me put this also in a penny sleeve while we're waiting. So, near mint. I guess it could be, right? So like I mentioned, here's the back. So I do see these, you see those scuff marks. So in another video I said, until I get it, I won't really be able to tell if I think it's more from the manufacturing process, if it's actual dirt. Actually, now that I look at it, I'm still not sure. It seems like it's actually scuffed, right? So it's hard to tell basically, right? So but it is something that's noticeable. I do see it a little bit, but it is less noticeable in person. The zoom of the camera really magnifies it a lot more than you would see it with the naked eye, right? So it is something is there, but once again, I know cards can come up straight from the pack and have such markings, right? So this can still very well be near mint, right? Kind of like the other card, um, where the land tax, right, where it was marked as never played, but then I noticed some marks and such. I'm not educated enough, I'm not experienced enough opening up those packs to know, right? So, although this one I am more inclined to think it is near mint condition, right? There's no scratches really on the front. There's a little dirt, but very tiny, right? And on the card itself, it looked very clean. So honestly, yeah, you see those 2 specks there? It is here, although it's a lot less visible in the picture. I mean, in real life than it is in the picture, right? So those 2 specks are very tiny in the card that I'm holding. But honestly, all in all, pretty happy. I'm happy with it. So that's 1 out of 3 that I have. And then it'll be 1 more to go, right? Because I do want to place it. Now I'm going to take these out just to compare the differences between unlimited and revised. The best comparison would be if I had one of each of the same card, right? But an unlimited Savannah is probably 1,000. Well, I'm pretty sure it would be. And there is no revised Icy, right? So a 1-to-1 comparison is hard to make. But I just wanted to confirm more the edges idea of if the edges are any different. It doesn't seem to me. Maybe the edges is more different in alpha to beta. I know that is the case. But maybe in unlimited to revised, that's no longer the case. So I'm seeing, to me, it seems like identical corners. If there is a difference, it's so minor that it's hard to tell. I'm trying to see if maybe one has a straighter edge than the other. No, they seem the same. Right? And then actually, the revised card seems more washed out than the unlimited one, so I thought it would be reversed. But once again, maybe it's just that the artifacts are more brighter, or at least have a stronger color, but the other cards wouldn't have, right? Maybe an unlimited Savannah would be more washed out than the revised one, right? So in those cases, having a 1-to-1 comparison would be better, but that's hard to make. But very, very happy. So 2 very iconic cards. I'm happy to add them to my deck. So let me put them in sleeves. All right, so these 2 are the most expensive cards in the deck, at least in my version, right? I'm not putting for the time being at least, the two Moxes or the Chaos Orb. But I am growing. The idea is growing on me, right? Because I had originally set my goal at the deck not costing me over 1,000. But as I'm getting more excited, I see the deck coming to fruition, and then just I'm seeing how my enjoyment is just growing more and more, my anticipation more and more and more. It's become more worth it for me to go that extra mile, right? So now I'm only 3 cards away from the original version of this deck that I had referenced online, right? So let me stop sharing that. So just just to bring it all full circle, let me let's talk about the deck list again. Just compare that to this, to what I have so far, and what the goal of the deck is now. Right. So I added more basic lands to accommodate the 4 Savannahs that I had removed before. For the 2 Moxes, I added 2 Birds of Paradise, right? So those are poor replacements, I know. But I figured those would be the best one-to-one comparisons that would give me colored mana, right, for a low cost. And then for the Chaos Orb, I just replaced it with a Strip Mine because since I had enough other protection from control, just being able to deal with other forms of permanence, the Chaos Orb can remove any permanent, right? So the only thing I needed that the Chaos Orb could do that I can't do between these cards would be land kill, right? So I figured the Strip Mine is most equivalent uh, substitute. I also consider a balance. I may also just get another balance anyway, because this deck is very commonly used with balance as well, right? This version could have very well had a balance in it. But I'm pretty sure at the very minimum, it'll have a balance in the sideboard, right? That's very common. So I'll end up with that balance anyway. And just one because balance is restricted. So I have removed those cards originally, those 7 cards, the 4 Savannahs, the 2 Moxes, and the Chaos Orb, because that was an additional 7,000 at least. 3, 6, 7, over 8,000. Right? And then by substituting this, it made my deck below 1,000, right? So this is actually, if I stayed with these $90, which I got one, I did get for $90-ish. So it's possible. But for something really nice, like the one I got today, it's really more in the 140, 150 at least range, right? So this is actually more closer to 1,000, right? At least for what I'm getting. But this version now is now very, very similar to the full powered version, right? The only 3 cards that I'm not gonna have. So I'm gonna have the 4 Savannahs. I have one more now. I need one more to complete the 4, right? But I only have one physically, right? I still have 2 more. One more being shipped. This one I just won, so it's gonna become ready to be shipped. And then I still need to buy one more Savannah, but that's not part of the deck list because as I get them, I just substitute it for the lands that I already have. Part of the deck list is 2 more Icy Manipulator, right? So, but I'm just waiting for the right price and the right condition. And maybe I still end up getting it from the Facebook marketplace for those. Because I have seen them before, but when I inquired, they were already gone. So there's a possibility. Plus, it'd be nice to have experience, not just through eBay, but multiple avenues in terms of purchasing and acquiring the cards. But that very, very close to being completed, right? I still have 5 cards, 4 cards on the way, one more card that's going to be on the way. So I'm still getting in transit, still ordering a couple more to finish out the deck, but it's more and more, it's getting more real that I'm almost done with this. And it just feels also more real because just having these iconic cards is just very special to me. And hopefully, it brought in some nostalgia within you guys as well as it is within me, right? So hopefully you shared in my enjoyment of not just the whole process, but in particular seeing these cards uh, and the experience of purchasing them, waiting for them, inspecting them, adding it to the deck, and now very soon using them, right? So it's going to be cool, pretty trippy to know that I'm going to be using dual lands, right? So dual lands is basically the pinnacle of lands, as a, in terms of 1 mana, right? There's other lands that produce more than that, right? But that's their function is different. It's more about quantity for those. This is more about uh, options, right? 2 colors within 1 card, no damage. That's very hard. Does not seem nowadays, right? As opposed to creatures, back then the creatures now are. So back then the creatures now are overpowered, right? So, but the artifacts, not a lot, not all of them, but a lot of the artifacts, a lot of the lands from there, a lot of the spells were overpowered in old school. So those have been nerfed to today's standards, right? So those two things seesawed in different ways. But like I said, pretty cool to have those kind of cards now in this deck that I never had before. I did use Icy Manipulators before, but I never had an unlimited one, and definitely never had dual lands. So that's pretty cool. I have 3 now. 2 more are going to be on the way, and I will be purchasing that 4th one just to complete the playset. So thank you guys for joining me in this new experience. I'm getting to the finish line of the first step of building. Then once I reach that finish line for this step, I'm also going to take you guys on the road of me using the deck, becoming skilled with the deck, understanding its intricacies, understanding how to play it against the different kinds of decks, also me researching the different kinds of decks, so that I know the best plays that I can make depending, right? So still a lot more learning to be done, but it'll be done as I play the games, right? Because in the end, that is what as cool as it is, and as even though I consider these collectibles, I am collecting these cards, right? The goal was not just to collect them, but to play, right? Back for when I used to play these, I never had those kind of cards though. So it's cool for me to have that older experience back again, but in a much better, under much better conditions, because now I can have those overpowered cards that I never could before, right? So that's the next step. But I still a couple more cards left to go to complete the deck. Hopefully within a couple more videos that'll be taken care of, and then the real fun begins. Thank you guys for watching.